If you want to know how to process acorns to make them edible, then stick around. In order to show you processing of acorns, we first need to understand the acorn itself. And what type of corcus, oak, did it come from? This is important because there are different uses for each type of acorn, some of them being more choice and more common. So first, let's get an understanding of the different types of oaks. In brief, oaks are broken down into two subcategories, white and red. Luckily, the acorn and the tree itself have pretty distinctive features that allow you to know which one you're dealing with. The process to make acorns food ready and available for us is a process called leaching. Acorns have an astringent, polyphenolic biomolecule inside of them called tannins. When eaten in large quantities or when these are not leached and they are prepared, it can be adverse to your health. So therein lies the first difference between white and red oak. You have a higher tannin presence in that of the red variety. But the red variety also tends to have more protein and more fiber, but the extra tannin makes them unappealing to much of nature. If you're hanging out underneath a red oak tree, you will notice that most of the time there are tons and tons of last year's and this year's acorns still littering the floor. As to where underneath a white oak, you don't really see much because animals are grabbing them up. So out of the two varieties, it seems like nature has already picked its favorite for edibility. You can also tell a red oak because of the cupule. Notice the scaled-like overlapping look on top on its cap. Here we are underneath a red oak tree, and you can see that there are tons upon tons of acorns not touched by the local scavengers. Now this is a northern red oak, so it is larger. Most red oaks are relatively small when it comes to their nut. Red oaks are also higher in fats, protein, and fiber, but they're also harder to digest. They also have bristled and pointed tips, a common characteristic with red oaks. Now, because there's more tannins in the red oak, they are going to take longer to leach. But that does not rule them out as a food source, especially if you are competing less with nature. So red oak acorns typically are smaller than that of their counterpart white oak. But they also are different when it comes to their germination cycle. Oak acorns cling to the tree longer, and when they fall on the ground, they still take some time before they begin to germinate. White oaks will sometimes germinate on the tree. So the high tannin content inside of them actually gives them enough time to germinate the following spring. Red oaks typically are smaller and not as heavy as that of white oaks as well. Red oaks usually stick around the 70-foot tall range, whereas white oaks surpass that easily. Still a pretty freaking big tree. So with so many differences between the white and red oak, can you imagine that there's a difference in how you prepare white and red oak acorns? And we will cross that bridge after tomorrow's episode when we do the white oak. After you're well equipped with what it is you are looking for, then we'll all be in the same boat while we are preparing them.